If you're over 60 in America right now, you probably know someone who's had a heart scare. Maybe it was you. A number on a lab report, your blood pressure, your LDL cholesterol, suddenly turns bold and a clinician says, "We need to talk." That moment can be frightening, but it can also be the beginning of real control. Today I want to give you a calm, practical roadmap you can follow to lower your risk, protect your heart, and feel stronger over the next months and years. Heart disease remains the leading cause of death in the United States, but that fact isn't there to scare you. It's there to remind you that focusing on your blood pressure, your LDL cholesterol, your daily movement, your sleep, and your food choices delivers tremendous protection at any age. Small changes done consistently add up like compound interest. 10 minutes here, a smarter plate there, a conversation about the right medication, and suddenly the future looks wider and safer. Let's start with blood pressure. Think of blood pressure as the force of blood pushing against your artery walls. When that pressure runs high for years, it creates microscopic scratches where cholesterol can stick, harden, and narrow the vessel. You may not feel high blood pressure, but your blood vessels do. What matters most is not one rushed reading in an office after you hustled through a parking lot. It's the pattern you see at home when you're relaxed. Get a validated arm cuff that fits you. Sit quietly for 5 minutes with your feet flat, your back supported, and your arm at heart level. Take 2 readings in the morning and 2 in the evening for a week. Write them down. Bring that log to your appointment. Many people over 60 do well with a target under 130/80, but the right target for you should be individualized. If you get dizzy when standing, if you have kidney issues, if you're on multiple medications, your clinician may tailor the goal. The point is safe control you can maintain, not a perfect number you chase for a week and abandon the next. If your numbers are high, start with the levers you control. Cut back on sodium by reading labels and cooking more at home. Restaurants and packaged foods are the biggest contributors. Aim to gently reduce weight if you have extra around the middle, because even 5 to 10 pounds down can nudge pressure lower. Keep alcohol modest or none. Protect your sleep routine. Walk most days. Then, if your numbers still run high, or if your risk is already elevated, use medication confidently. Needing a pill is not a personal failure. It's a tool. If a drug causes cough, dizziness, or ankle swelling, say so. There are several safe classes, and your clinician can usually find a combination that treats the blood pressure and respects your quality of life. The goal is pressure control with minimal side effects so you can live the way you want. Now let's talk about LDL cholesterol, the bad cholesterol that drives plaque formation. Low-density lipoprotein builds silently. You won't feel it rising, but your arteries will. In general, lower LDL is better, especially if you've had a heart attack, a stroke, diabetes, or if your 10-year risk calculation is high. Some people can reach protective levels with lifestyle alone, but many will need medication, and that is normal. Statins are typically first line because they reliably reduce LDL and lower the risk of heart attacks and strokes. If you tried a statin before and didn't tolerate it, ask about switching to a different statin, changing the dose, taking it every other day, or adding a non-statin option. The aim is steady progress, not perfection. Track your numbers over time. Celebrate a 30% drop. If your risk is very high, your team may aim for a 50% drop or a specific LDL threshold. You and your clinician decide the target together and choose the least burdensome way to reach it. A quick note about aspirin. If you are 60 or older and you have never had a heart attack or a stroke, starting a daily aspirin for prevention is generally not recommended because bleeding risks usually outweigh the benefits at your age. If you are already on aspirin, do not stop on your own. Ask your clinician if you should continue based on your personal history. If you have a stent, known cardiovascular disease, or another specific reason, your plan may be different. The theme is personalized decisions, not one-size-fits-all rules. What you eat matters, but you don't need a fragile, joyless diet to improve your numbers. Choose an eating pattern with strong evidence and adapt it to your culture, budget, and teeth. 2 patterns stand out. The first is DASH, the dietary approaches to stop hypertension, which emphasizes vegetables, fruits, beans, lentils, nuts, seeds, low-fat dairy, and whole grains, while limiting saturated fat and sodium. Cutting sodium from around 2,300 milligrams a day toward 1,500 can lower blood pressure further, often within weeks. The second is a Mediterranean-style pattern that leans on olive oil as the main fat, vegetables at most meals, beans and lentils several times a week, whole grains, fish and poultry more than red meat, and herbs, garlic, lemon, and vinegar for flavor instead of salt. This way of eating is linked to fewer major cardiovascular events. You don't have to be perfect, you do have to be consistent. Here is what that looks like in everyday life. At breakfast, swap processed meats and white toast for a bowl of Greek yogurt topped with berries and a small handful of oats, or make a vegetable omelet cooked in olive oil. At lunch, build what I call a blood pressure plate. Leafy greens, colorful vegetables, half a cup of beans, a portion of grilled salmon or chicken, a small handful of unsalted nuts, and a simple olive oil vinaigrette. At dinner, make at least 2 meals a week bean-forward. Lentil soup, vegetable chili or whole grain pasta tossed with white beans, spinach, olive oil, and garlic. Eat fish twice a week, salmon, trout, or sardines. Read labels on bread, soup, and sauces. Look for lower sodium options. Trim visible fat from meats, choose lean cuts, and keep butter and full-fat dairy for small tastes rather than daily staples. Use herbs, citrus, and spices to wake up flavor. Taste first, then add a pinch of salt if truly needed. Movement is the closest thing we have to a miracle drug for the heart. Regular physical activity lowers blood pressure, improves cholesterol, steadies blood sugar, strengthens bones and muscles, reduces fall risk, and brightens mood. If exercise has felt complicated or intimidating, let's simplify it. Aim for 150 to 300 minutes per week of moderate intensity activity, such as brisk walking where you can talk but not sing. Add muscle strengthening on at least 2 days per week using resistance bands, light dumbbells, or bodyweight moves like chair stands and wall push-ups. And because balance declines with age, add a few minutes of balance training most days. Start where you are. If you're sedentary, begin with 5 minutes after breakfast and 5 after dinner. That still counts. Build by a few minutes each week. If your joints complain, choose low-impact options like a stationary bike, water aerobics, or walking in a pool. If you have a history of heart disease or are very deconditioned, ask about supervised cardiac-style programs or physical therapy to get started safely. Sleep and stress are not side notes. Poor sleep bumps blood pressure and appetite hormones. Protect a 7 to 8 hour sleep window by dimming lights in the evening, keeping a consistent bedtime, and avoiding caffeine later in the day. Alcohol increases blood pressure and triglycerides when taken above modest amounts, so keep it limited or skip it. If you smoke or vape, quitting is one of the fastest, most powerful ways to protect your arteries, and it helps your blood pressure almost immediately. Stress will always exist, but your body's response is trainable. Try a simple practice. Before meals, take 5 slow breaths. After arguments, take a 10-minute walk. At bedtime, use a brief guided relaxation or quiet music. These small rituals add up to steadier numbers. Going to your appointment prepared turns a 15-minute visit into a real partnership. Bring a 1-page numbers list. First, your home blood pressure log with dates and times. Ask, given my readings, what target makes sense for me? Second, your fasting lipid panel with total cholesterol, LDL, HDL, and triglycerides. Ask, given my age and risk, what LDL range are we aiming for and how will we get there? Would you recommend a statin, and if so, which one and at what intensity? Third, bring every prescription and supplement in a bag and ask whether any raise blood pressure or interact with heart medications. Fourth, review aspirin. I'm over 60 and have not had a heart attack or stroke. Should I be on aspirin, or should I avoid it? Fifth, discuss activity. Given my needs, what exercises are safe? Can you refer me to physical therapy or a supervised program? Sixth, ask for nutrition support. Can I see a registered dietitian to tailor DASH or Mediterranean options to my budget and preferences? Here is a simple 30-day starter plan. In days 1 through 7, measure blood pressure at home, morning and evening, and start a sodium scan through your pantry. Add 1 fruit and 1 vegetable each day. Walk 10 minutes after 2 meals. In week 2, replace 2 dinners with a bean-based or fish-based meal. Switch to olive oil as your main cooking fat. Walk 20 minutes 4 days this week, and add 2 brief strength sessions with bands or light weights. In week 3, push your sodium toward 1,800 to 2,000 milligrams per day by checking bread, soup, and sauces. Schedule a cholesterol test if due, and plan to review the results. Practice a daily balance drill by standing heel to toe at a counter, lightly touching the surface for safety. In week 4, if your blood pressure and LDL remain high, discuss medication options. If you're already on medication, check adherence tricks like a pill box, phone alarms, or pairing the meds with a consistent mealtime. Know the red flags that require immediate help. Call emergency services right away for chest pressure or pain, shortness of breath, fainting, sudden weakness on one side, trouble speaking, or a new severe headache, especially in the setting of high blood pressure. Minutes matter. Also know the green lights worth celebrating. A 5 to 10 point drop in your weekly average blood pressure, a lower LDL on your next lab, a longer walk without stopping, a better night's sleep. These are victories that predict better long-term outcomes. Recognize them and build on them. If you've had starts and stops before, remember this. You don't need a perfect week to protect your heart. You need a repeatable week. A repeatable week is one you can live with when life is normal and one you can bend but not break when life gets messy. Maybe that means walking indoors at the mall when it's too hot or too cold outside. Maybe it means stocking low-sodium soups and frozen vegetables so a heart-healthy dinner is always 5 minutes away. Maybe it means taking your medication with the same meal every day so you never have to remember from scratch. Think of each behavior like dollars in an account that pays interest. The more deposits you make, the more protection you build. Let's close with a clear, simple summary you can act on today. Know your numbers by checking blood pressure at home and sharing a 1-week log. Talk with your clinician about an individualized blood pressure target that is safe for you. Lower LDL cholesterol through a proven eating pattern and, when needed, medication. Choose a DASH or Mediterranean-style plate most days and watch the sodium. Move your body every week with a mix of brisk walking, strength, and balance work, starting small and building steadily. Protect sleep, keep alcohol modest or none, and get real help with quitting smoking if that applies to you. Review aspirin with your clinician rather than guessing. Plan your next 30 days with small steps you can repeat. You are not behind, and you are not alone. Your arteries respond at any age. 1 plate, 1 walk, 1 habit, 1 conversation at a time. You can protect your heart and create a future with more energy, more confidence, and more life in every year.